We're going to learn all about this place. What happens to your garbage when you put it in the trash, take it to the curb, and the truck comes picking that up? Miss Emily is here with us.
Hello.
There she is, and Miss Chick is back. So we're going to hear from them today about what happens to your garbage after it leaves the curb and the truck picks it up. So I'm going to give it over to them. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. My name's Emily, and you might remember me from Bring Recycling. I'm so excited to give you a tour of the Glenwood transfer station today. It's a beautiful day outside, so we are happy to be here. We are here at the Glenwood transfer station. This site is located between Eugene and Springfield. Some of you may have been here before. There are lots of reasons for why you may have visited the transfer station. Maybe you have something special that you want to recycle. Maybe you have some garbage that is too big to put into your garbage bin. And maybe you that's a couple of reasons there. But we're going to show you the transfer site today. First, I wanted to talk about what kinds of things do we throw away?
Oh, wow.
EcoChip, can you tell us some of the things that we throw away?
Well, we throw away a lot of things that we could actually recycle or reuse. And so often when I'm here, I'm like, oh, could I just have that chair that you're going to throw in there that's perfectly fine that could have went to Bring or Goodwill? And so sometimes people throw things away because it's just easier to put them all in one place. And so all kinds of things get thrown into this transfer station. All different kinds of plastic bins, old toys, clothing even ends up in there, all kinds of things that could be diverted in other ways. But sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And so it's just, it's an opportunity to, and I'm excited to go over and look at the recycling area because there are, you can stop and drop things off before you go dump into the big area too. So lots of different things, mattresses, all kinds of stuff.
Yes, you're going to see all sorts of things that are thrown away in the pit today. I remembered the other reason why you might come to the transfer station, and that's if you have some hazardous waste. So your hazardous waste does not go into your garbage can at home either. So you might come to the transfer station for those three reasons. And you'll notice that there are not garbage trucks here at this facility today. So the garbage trucks come around to the places where we make garbage. That's your school, your home, the businesses, restaurants, mall, and the parks. And they pick up the garbage that we all generate. And those garbage trucks will take that waste to the Short Mountain landfill. So what's happening here at the transfer site are residents and businesses that live in our community are folks who don't have garbage services. So they don't have those garbage trucks that come to their house or their business regularly, once a week, once every 2 weeks. And so they can bring their garbage here to the transfer station themselves. So what you see behind me here are these cars. They are pulling up to a weigh station. And the weigh station is a place where these vehicles are going to get weighed. And they will weigh the car, and then the car will drive over to the pit, and they will unload their garbage. Once they unload their garbage, they will drive out to the fee station, and they will weigh their vehicle one more time. Based on the different weights that they measure, we can tell how much garbage someone has put into the pit. And then that person will need to pay for that waste.
Real life math application.
So what does that mean? Well, it means that it costs money to throw away garbage. Either if you have garbage trucks that come to your house, or if you visit one of Lane County's 15 transfer stations, no matter how you do it, you have to pay for your garbage. So it's something to think about when you are throwing things away. What is away, right? Well, we're going to show you one this is one stop that your garbage may make on its journey from your home to the landfill. And this is part of where Away is. This is part of our waste management system. And we have to have this system in place to manage the waste that we all generate. We all make about 5.5 pounds or 4.5 pounds, excuse me, of garbage every day. That's every single one of us. And so as you might imagine, that garbage can begin to accumulate quite quickly. And so I want you to think about that as you take this tour today. We're going to go over to the pit and you're going to get a wonderful bird's eye view of what's in the pit today. Miss Page is going to show you the pit for a couple of minutes. And because it's really noisy over there, I won't be talking, but you'll be able to see what's in there. I want you to look for stuff that you recognize. Look for, not that it's your stuff, but just different materials that are familiar to you. And you can see what types of things are going into the pit today. We're also going to show you a sign that tells visitors all of the things that are not allowed in the pit. Because these items are either potentially harmful, too big, could be recycled. And so those are some of the reasons why we keep them out of the pit. So let's go take a look at what's in the garbage today.
All right, sounds good. Right, I don't know if you can hear me, but we're headed up to the catwalk so we can look at all the garbage in the pit. This actually isn't that loud right now. So way at the end down there is the garbage dozer that's pushing all the garbage from the pit end all the way over there. These people are gonna dump a couch in. A whole couch is going in the landfill. Oh my goodness. You've got a chair in there. Plastic bins. Not in the
Okay, wow, so that was a lot of garbage, right? You can see that's what's in the pit right now. It's constantly receiving more and more garbage throughout the day. There's a lot of construction materials in there, lots of plastic. We see furniture come into the pit sometimes. Lots of things that are actually reusable and could be reused, could be recycled. But in fact, all of these folks that are throwing items away today, they are allowed to put those items into the pit. It's up to them what they want to throw away, with the exception of what's on that list that you saw at the end there. So some of the things that we keep out of the pit include things like tires, appliances, so like big bulky appliances like refrigerators, those will stay out. Those cannot be crunched up very well, right? So what's usually happening is there is a big machine that drives back and forth in the pit all day, and it crunches up all that garbage into smaller pieces. It's doing a compaction, and that will help us to bury it at the landfill. So from here, it's going to go to one more place. It's going to go to its final destination, which is the Short Mountain landfill. And how long does the garbage stay in the landfill?
Forever.
Yes.
And it just gets buried. And so the good news is that these items are broken down into smaller bits so that it has more potential to break down in the landfill. If you, for instance, took a whole couch to the landfill and you didn't let it break up, it would still be a couch-shaped item after many, many years. But some garbage items, we don't really know we just estimate what their life expectancy is, because we haven't actually been alive long enough to know that it takes more than 100 years or some of these other statistics that we hear. But garbage takes a really long time. So
Yes.
probably, as long as we live, it will still be there.
Yes. So everything that you saw in the pit today represents a massive amount of natural resources. So it takes trees to make our paper products. It takes oil to make our plastic products, rocks and minerals to make everything that we have that's metal. So when we
And
throw
water for everything,
Yeah.
water to make all those
right,
things.
and so when we throw these things away, they go into the pit, they're gone forever. And that means that those resources are gone forever. We can't use them again. So once it goes into the pit and goes to the landfill, we don't have any plans to dig it up after that. It'll be gone for many, many generations to come. So we want to think about that, what that means for our generation and what that means for the generations to come. How are we going to protect the resources, reduce waste that goes into the landfill, and make better use of the things that we already have here
and our land.
Yes.
Yeah. And one thing about landfills that a lot of people don't know is when a landfill can get at the end of its life where it can't take any more garbage. And so then what happens is another one will have to be started somewhere. And after a long, long time, typically those are mounded over and people build on top of old landfills. And so sometimes living near an old landfill can put different chemicals and things into the waterways near there, or cause other problems that we can't see that that do happen just because of the garbage being stuck in the land. So.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So let's go check out the other thing that's happening here at the transfer station, which is the recycling area.
My favorite part. And often you can, if you're coming to the landfill and you know that you are going to have an opportunity to drive through the recycling, when I come here, I try to plan my load so that my recycling is on top of the things I plan to throw away. So it's easy to take care of the recycling. And when you bring recycling here, you get a little bit off of your fee when you're paying at the end. And so that's a little give back that you can do here too.
Yeah. So Miss Emily, I see some people with some like branches and yard debris stuff. That's over here. Isn't there another place for that?
Yeah, well, you can recycle everything that you can recycle at home, you can recycle here at the transfer station. So that also includes things like yard debris, right? So some of us at home, we have an extra can to collect the stuff that comes from our yards, things like tree branches, bushes, flowers,
grass clippings, maybe your food waste if you do curbside composting.
So we collect that here at the transfer station as well. And it actually will go to the same place that our yard debris from our homes go to. And that's a place called Rexius, or sometimes Lane Forest Products. And they are going to take that yard waste, those biodegradable materials, and they're going to compost it into usable, nutrient-rich soil. So a lot of you may be familiar with composting. It is nature's way of recycling. So, anything that comes out of our yard that's growing and living, it can be composted. So we collect that here as well.
Awesome. Yeah. You can, it's like one-stop shopping.
Yes, exactly.
But you can't shop here. They don't let you do that.
Then you go to Bring for that.
Yeah.
So what's really cool also, before we even show you what can be recycled here, we do have this station here that is operated by St. Vincent de Paul. You can see St. Vinny's, and I know a lot of you have been, you've visited St. Vinny's. You can buy reusable goods there, furniture, clothing, books, appliances, toys,
dishes,
all sorts of good stuff. So when you come here to the transfer station, St. Vinny's actually will take your reusable goods that you want to donate to them, that will go to one of their stores and will be sold to be reused. St. Vinny's also is our only local collector of a really pesky material.
Yes.
That would be styrofoam. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens to this? It breaks apart.
Just these teeny
Yes,
tiny
these little
pieces
tiny
break
balls,
up.
and it will float away very easily because it's very light, and it gets into our water and our soil, and it disrupts those natural systems. And this is very highly toxic material, so we don't want that in our soil.
No.
Do you think animals want to eat that stuff? No.
No. And they do though. So
Yeah,
for
they think
instance,
it's food.
this is in the oceans a lot, and it breaks down the power of the water in the ocean breaks it down. And so you'll often now, every time I go to the beach, I see these tiny pieces mixed in with the sand, and there is no invention to clean that right now on the beaches. And so I've actually been scheming of what I would invent, and maybe you could think about it too.
Do it, kids.
you
Find
bet.
a solution.
Yes. And you can bring it here, but St. Vinny's also has another location out West 11th that you can take it there as well. So you don't have to come all the way to this transfer
Right.
station.
Well, and like we said, this is a one-stop shop. So if you've got other things that you're recycling, it's nice to have the option to bring the styrofoam on that trip. But yes, you actually can take the styrofoam to any St. Vinny's, just like you would donate other items there.
I still did
And-
not know that. And
Yes.
what happens to the styrofoam? What do
So-
they do with it?
Yeah, so the styrofoam gets recycled.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes,
In
what's-
California, right?
Well, what happens first is St. Vinny's has this really awesome machine, and it will it melts it densifies it. So it melts it down, and then it spits it out into this really long tube. If you could imagine elephant toothpaste. So it's like this huge thing of styrofoam toothpaste,
Nice.
and they shape it into these big blocks, and then they put it on a truck, and so then it's a lot heavier.
Yeah.
Then they put it on trucks and they send it to out of state, and it will be recycled, and they're going to recycle this into new styrofoam because you can't make anything else with this, right?
Nope.
Okay, that's cool.
And that leads me to we should probably talk just for a moment about what it does it mean to recycle. So, want to tell us, Eco Chick?
Well, anytime, I guess if I were to define recycle, it means taking something that was made and remaking it either into the same thing or something else. So that would
Yeah.
be the best way for me to describe it.
Exactly. Yeah, I like to say it's to take something old and to make something new. And so, even like your aluminum cans, you've had your Coke, your Pep, your soda, and you have that can, and honestly, it's recyclable, but that is waste. Until you make that decision to recycle it, it is waste. It is garbage. You can put it into the pit,
We saw some in there.
but you can make that decision. Hey, I know that this material can be recycled, so I'm going to put it in a different bin, and and then I know that it's going to be used to make new products. Like maybe it'll be made into another aluminum can, or maybe it'll be used to make a building material.
Yeah.
It could be used to make an airplane. There's so many uses especially for metal. There's a lot of uses.
Yeah. And in Oregon, it's really important. We have this thing that started way back in the 70s called the bottle bill. And so every can and bottle is worth 10 cents a piece. So when you think about if you throw that away, you're literally throwing money away that could be recouped. And so that's something to consider too. And when we don't redeem those cans and bottles, guess what? The producer, the people who make those products actually get to keep that money, because the money that you get for the deposits when you return your cans goes to you. But if you don't return them, they get to keep it. So it's true. It's kind of a crazy thing to think about.
So I want you to notice the blue signs here. So the blue signs tell us all of the different materials, you know, that we're recycling. We can recycle here. So we're just gonna walk down, and you can see all of the different things that we recycle here. That includes televisions. Other
Not children.
electronics like computers and monitors. Batteries.
Now, are these just big batteries or little tiny AA batteries? What do I do with those AA
Let's check
batteries?
it out. So there's no little household batteries in here. These are the lead acid batteries. All of those little batteries that you have in your home, in your remote and your electronics, those can actually be thrown away or you can recycle them. But the best option for batteries are to find those reusable batteries, the ones that can be recharged over and over again. So we're not collecting the small household batteries here.
And there's actually in our area, there isn't any place that's taking those right now. So what I'm hearing is that we just have to throw them away. Batteries Plus used to take them and they no longer do.
A great alternative. I know a lot of new electronic things are using like USB rechargeable things.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
my kids just got a USB rechargeable toothbrush.
exactly.
It's cool to find alternatives.
It,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Batteries are very interesting. A lot goes into making them.
Sharps.
So
that-
like needles and things?
yes, that's like medical waste.
Okay.
Yep. Fluorescent lamp bulbs.
But they can't be broken. They have to be whole when they come here. They can't be broken.
Paint. We will take paint here. So paint is have you ever seen a can of paint when it gets all hardened and it's, you know, been sitting in your garage for a year and you can't really use that paint anymore? So you can bring that here to the transfer station. It's a material that a lot of people don't know is actually recyclable. And in Oregon, we send all of those cans of old, unused, unwanted paint to a factory in the Portland area, and it gets recycled and refined, and they make new paint. They dye it different colors, and we actually sell that paint that they make. We sell it at Brink.
Yeah. And it's really nice paint. It is really nice to work with. It is definitely just as nice as something you'd buy at a regular store. And the colors are really good too.
Yeah, so you might not have like, you know, a lot of paint that you want to recycle, but you might just keep it in the back of your head. You know, can you put a can of paint like that in your recycling bin at home?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. So there's way more that you can recycle here at the transfer station than you can in your recycling bin at home. And I just want to re-emphasize that. So you can't put all this stuff into your bin at home. You can collect it though, and then make a trip to the transfer station because now you know that it is in fact recyclable. Even antifreeze and motor oil. Those are some liquids that we put into our vehicles.
I guess it's really, Emily, just a matter of rethinking. It's really easy to just throw everything away and not worry about where it is going afterwards because you're done with it. But when we rethink our processes of like collecting things, for instance, and having a place and then building that into a routine to actually take care of that. And what I find is the more that we each individually have to deal with our own waste, the more in tune we are with how much we're using and wasting. So it's just a really good connection to have with your stuff, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you buy something new and then you have to make a decision when you're done using it. What am I going to do with it? And either you're going to throw it away, maybe you donate it to St. Vinny's or to Bring so it can be reused. But otherwise, you're going to have to either throw it away or recycle it. So,
Or maybe the junk monkeys could come and pick it up.
yeah. So it's good to know where you can take it. So here, everything that's collected here, Lane County will, they sell the recycling. So they sell it to manufacturers who take the materials and they do the remaking, the reprocessing of the material. So Lane County doesn't in fact do that themselves. They sell it to a company that's going to do that. But what you'll see here also, which is good to notice, is that all of the stuff we're collecting, it's being collected separately. So everything has its own separate collection area. So aluminum goes here, we got the tin that goes over there, the glass we're going to show you. And you know what that does?
Well, it keeps it clean.
It keeps it clean, yeah. So it actually reduces the amount of contamination that we find in our recycling stream. So when we're at home and we've got that one bin.
The co-mingle is what I call it.
Yes.
Co-mingle means put it together instead of separate.
Yes, yeah. You co-mingle our recycling at home. You put in your paper, you put in your aluminum, your cardboard, sometimes the clear plastic, and it goes into that bin, and then all of that has to be separated, has to be sorted. So once it gets collected together in the truck, it'll go to a place, a factory, where it gets sorted. And sometimes that sorting process it doesn't work that well. Like it works, but it's not perfect. It's not a perfect system. So here at the transfer station, when we're able to collect things separately, we are reducing the amount of contamination. We're making sure that there's no paper in with the metal. There's no plastic in with the paper. That makes sense.
I have no idea that this sort of thing. So this is like the sort of thing you pull off like a yogurt container, a little individual. So this can be recycled.
Has to be washed off. So that's an
You
important thing,
right? It does need to
Yeah.
be lids and labels and a rinse. So you can't have any. This is a balled up aluminum foil, but you still need to make sure it's clean.
And it
before you
has to
put
be
it
a
in
certain size. It can't be like this small. It has to be at least this big. So you would keep wadding your
Oh, no
foil
kidding.
together.
there. Okay.
That's what happens. Yeah, she was talking about the contamination with our co-mingle at home. We have this thing that humans do. We all do it, and it's called wishful recycling. It's like, oh, I've used this thing, and it's made out of something that I think could be reused. I'm going to put it in the co-mingle because I wish that I could recycle here. And there are only certain things that can go into our co-mingle. And when we don't follow the guidelines with the size, for instance, or things being clean, that will make the whole co-mingle bin dirty or contaminated, and then it often just the whole thing will have to be thrown in the trash anyway.
Yes.
Or someone at the sorting place could be injured, or they could jam their machine with the aluminum balls. If they're too small, it actually jams the machine and it causes a lot of problems. So there's a lot of things that we don't think of being consumers and humans, that when we just get rid of our stuff, what other people might have to do.
Right.
Yeah. It's really important to know the recycling rules, recycle right. So that means knowing what can go into your bin at home, whether you have Sanipack as your garbage hauler or Apex, or maybe you have another hauler. And to know what you can bring here to the transfer station when you can't put it into your recycling bin at home. Exactly. So these tin cans is like all your canned food items. And yeah, these can go into your bin at home.
This can be recycled.
It can here, but it may not be allowed in your bin at home. We're gonna go over to the sunny side. Glass, which is bottles and jars only.
This part is really important to point out. This would be in the wishful recycling, and I was kind of surprised, but believe it or not, this is a different kind of glass for these types of items that wouldn't be able to be remelted and remade into glass.
Yes.
And often people think glass is a good alternative, and that's sort of true. But the amount of resources that go into making glass and recycling it again are actually rather expensive. So believe it or not, glass was kind of not at the top of the list for a reusable item.
Yeah, so yeah, glass melts at different melting points, and so or different types of glass does. So that's why we specify that we only collect bottles and jars only. So your beverage bottles, jars like your pasta sauce and your pickles and your jellies and jams, that's the type of glass that we're recycling here. Again, we don't want there to be other types of materials in the glass stream. So actually at home and here, we do separate out our glass from the other recyclables. And we also do that, of course, at home because, and everyone knows, because glass is very easily broken. And so we want to make sure that it doesn't go into the bin with all the other recyclables, because if it breaks in there, then all of those other materials are contaminated at that point, and then that might have to be just completely thrown away.
Well, and one thing about throwing away these types of glass down here is it's recommended that you actually put it inside of a bag, because what can happen is our haulers can actually be injured by broken glass in our trash bags without something. So it's recommended to put it into a piece of paper or something so that it's not just loose, especially at school that are places and businesses. It's important because when
You're
you get
talking,
hurt,
yeah, and you mean in the trash, right?
yeah, in the trash,
Yeah.
like the ones that aren't recyclable.
So here is the only type of plastic that we recycle here at the transfer station. It's the clear plastic milk jugs. And the reason why we recycle clear plastic is because it can be made into way more products than the colored plastic. Once you put a color into a plastic, you can't take it out. So this is the purest form of the plastic. It can be made into so many different things. So it's the most valuable. So that's all the type of plastic that we collect here.
And then we leave the lid on, that color will actually contaminate the clear plastic, so that even the little ring around the,
Yes.
from the lid has to come off.
So mixed paper has its own collection point here, and then we keep out, the dirty papers. So the pizza box, the to-go food containers are not recyclable. Paper plates and paper towels, diapers. You would not believe some of the things
It's the wishful recycling.
that people put into their recycling bins. Newspaper is going to be made into more newspaper. So all we put in this big collection thing is newspaper. Cardboard. So in this machine, the cardboard will get smashed. Yeah. Go. Pause.
And tape is fine.
Yep, you can. Yeah, it is in this situation. At home, when you're recycling cardboard, you're always going to want to break it down and flatten it before you put it into your bin. And again, no pizza boxes. We do not recycle, even if they're clean. We do not recycle those at all. And then metal. This is a big metal bin.
Look at all the stuff you guys could reuse. You could remake a bike right there.
And you can see that there are some pieces in here that are not metal pieces. And that is actually okay for this collection. The metal is so valuable and so recyclable that anything that is like 75% metal or more can go into this collection bin, and they will actually sort it and separate it after they take it to the metal recycler. But they want that metal, so they're like, whatever you got, you can put it in there. 75% metal or more, like bikes.
So we are just about out of time. Can we start taking some questions?
Yeah,
Or do you have
absolutely.
more to share?
No, that's okay. I was just going to show you on the other side over here is where we collect our yard debris. We've got a bin for tires. Those big tires, car tires, you can't put those into the pit because they don't break up into small pieces. But if you shred them, which I don't know how you would do that, but some people have the capability, and it's smaller pieces, then that would be allowed to be thrown away. Otherwise, you put it in the tire bin here.
awesome.
And there's also recycled wood. So
And recycled wood is, yes.
that's my most
Okay,
favorite
Miss
one.
Victoria, do you have some questions out there? Let's remember before we call, let's just remember, folks, that we're looking for questions, not necessarily comments. You're doing so great using your great digital citizenship. So let's continue that. And go ahead, Miss Victoria.
How about William?
So, like, how much are the fees for recycling and putting stuff in the pit?
How much are the fees?
Oh, great question.
Yes, so, if I could remember
For
exactly.
recycling, she was
So
saying.
yeah, so for the recycling, actually, so glad you asked that.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
So the way this site is designed is that you, and Eco Chick was kind of talking about this earlier, but when you drive in, you come up to the recycling area first. So you can unload all of your recycling before you get your vehicle weighed, which means that it's free to
Yeah.
recycle. You can, just like, you know, your bill for your garbage services at home, it's only for the garbage. It's not for the recycling. So it's free to recycle all of those blue signs that we showed you, except for there is a small fee for some things, like we do collect mattresses here. If you want to recycle a mattress, it's like a $15 fee. But the point is that it's only going to be like a small fee, like maybe $15 at most for to recycle something sort of larger. Appliances you have to pay to recycle, but otherwise it's free. So in Oregon, there's a reason for that. We have a law that says that all Oregonians should have the right to recycle affordably, which means free.
Yay!
Right.
Woo!
And there's
Awesome
a couple
question.
of big things coming up to vote on too, around single-use items and some other things. So your
Sweet.
families may like want to keep their ears open for those things. That's how that one ended up happening, as voters said, we care about this. We want the right to recycle, and so then it became a law.
Great. All right, another question. Thank you.
How stinky is the dump?
Is it?
Oh,
Yes, yeah, today it's not that bad. You know, I hope that you do get a chance to visit it sometime, because as you can see, the visitors get very close to the pit when they're throwing their stuff away, and you can get the opportunity to smell for yourself. But it's not that bad today. I usually tell my students that I bring here, on a really hot summer, sort of humid day, that's gonna be when it's the stinkiest. So because it's still winter time, even though it's sun is out, it's lovely. It's not that bad today. The landfill smell is way worse.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
you can smell that driving down the freeway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and part of it too is that if we keep food and plant matter out of that area, it makes it actually less stinky. When those organics are breaking down, they get really rotten, literally, and that's often what a big part of the odor is.
Yes, exactly. And actually 20% of what we throw away is food.
Wow.
Can you
Yeah, or
guys
even actually 30 to 40% of all food is wasted, and we humans throw away at least 20% of our own. It's like taking your plate and breaking it into 5 parts and just throwing 1/5 of it away. If you're
Where are you? Like, are you in Springfield or something?
Yes, we are right beside the I-5 highway here, between
I-5. You can see it over in the distance.
yeah, this is located between Eugene and Springfield, in a place called Glenwood. And it's sort of just down the street from the University of Oregon on Franklin Boulevard.
Great. Well, thank you so much. You guys had great questions, and Miss Emily and Eco Chick, you are awesome for hosting us and giving us so many great ideas of how we can recycle. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was
Thank
lovely.
you. Hi, everybody.
You guys all give them a virtual wave. All right, my friends. So we have a recorded read aloud today. I did it yesterday or a couple days ago because we are not in a really good place to read. So Miss Victoria is going to go ahead and play that read aloud. It's an awesome book that will give you so many great ideas on how to not even get to the point where you have to recycle because you've thought about ways to refuse or reuse. So I hope you enjoy that and make sure you come back next week. I get to go and visit the Oregon Horse Rescue Ranch. It's going to be a really special place to go to visit all these horses that have been rescued. So I hope you can join me then. Thank you so much for being here and stay tuned for a great book. Thank you, Miss Victoria.
Friends, thank you for joining me at the Glenwood transfer station today. I hope you were enlightened as to what happens with our garbage. Today, I thought it would be great if we could read this book called Join the No Plastic Challenge, a first book of reducing waste, written and illustrated by Scott Ritchie, which makes him an illustrator. So this is a fun book. It helps just challenge us to think of all the ways that we use plastic and how we can avoid using some plastic. Some are unavoidable, but there's lots of single-use plastic that we can avoid using, and this book gives us some great ideas. So let's dig into it. It's called Join the No Plastic Challenge, a first book of reducing waste, written and illustrated by Scott Ritchie. So this book has a table of contents. The table of contents will list all the subjects in the book and the page number that each subject starts on. No Plastic Day. It's Nick's birthday, and the 5 friends are taking the ferry to the island for a picnic. Nick has been learning about plastic pollution, and he's given his friends a challenge to go all day without using single-use plastic. Many plastics are used only once, then thrown away. They are called single-use plastics, and they make up about half of the plastics we use every day. How plastic is your home? There are many things we can use instead of single-use plastics. Nick's mom wraps food in wax paper and uses glass jars for storage, but there are other types of plastics that are a part of our everyday lives. Look around your home. How much plastic do you see? Plastic takes so many shapes and textures that sometimes we don't even know we're using it. Flip-flops, a broom, a computer has plastic, your blender, even a clock, the dish soap bottle, a suitcase can be made of plastic, your phone, a pen, gum, it's often wrapped in plastic, toys and curtains can, fleece jackets are sometimes made of recycled plastic too. Change is good. Before they catch the ferry, Nick's mom takes the friends to a special store that sells environmentally friendly products. Some of these products can be reused and some are made of material that decompose or break down naturally, leaving no waste behind. Stopping plastic pollution means making changes. One thing you can do is plan ahead when you go out. Bring your own water bottle and have reusable cloth bags on hand for shopping. We can use these forks for the birthday cake. No single-use plastic for us. Plastic planning. Everything is packed up and it's time to go. The 5 friends have all brought their own water bottles and reusable bags, and Yuli even brought her own dishes and cutlery from home. A lot of store-bought food comes in plastic packaging, so Nick's mom baked a cake and is bringing it along in a reusable container. I'm going to have a litterless lunch. An ocean of plastic. Look at that garbage, exclaimed Yuli. When plastic isn't properly recycled, it often ends up in landfills or waterways, oceans, and lakes. In the ocean, much of it is drawn into swirling waters called ocean gyres. Within the gyres are huge patches of floating plastic and garbage brought together by currents and wind. Scientists are studying these gyres to see if the plastic can be cleaned up. It will be a difficult job, though, because so much of the plastic is microscopic and very small. plastic and animals. Sally notices that the fairy's snack bar doesn't have a recycling bin, even though they are giving out plastic containers and cutlery. Plastic that isn't disposed of properly can be dangerous to animals. They might eat the garbage and get sick. Turtles, whales, seabirds, seals, and fish have all been found with plastic in their stomachs. We can help to protect animals by not using plastic, and manufacturers can help by making less plastic in the first place. The last straw. Max and Ollie are thirsty. Sally asks for a cup of water and then realizes it comes with a straw and lid. She says no thanks and asks to have her water bottle filled instead. Millions of straws and other single-use plastics ends up in city sewers, plugging drains and stopping the flow of water. You probably know the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Now there's a new one: refuse. Say no thank you if you are offered single-use plastics such as forks, cups, containers, lids, and straws. But keep in mind that people with certain disabilities rely on straws for drinking. What is plastic? Nick tells his friends that most plastic is made from fossil fuels and such as crude oil and natural gas. Plastic is strong, lightweight, and lasts a long time. No wonder we use it to make so many things. Single-use plastics are harmful to the environment, but there are many good uses for other plastics. They are used to make electronics, planes, wheelchairs, and even prosthetic limbs. 1. Find. Crude oil and natural gas are taken from the ground by drilling through rock, sand, and dirt. 2. Refine. These fossil fuels are broken down and turned into gases called ethane and propane. 3. Crack. The ethane and propane are sent to a cracker planet to be cracked, broken down even more. Combine. Next, a plastic resin is created from the gases. This resin is melted, cooled, and cut up into nurdles, tiny plastic pellets about the size of a lentil. I kind of like that name, nurdle. 5. Produce. The nurdles are heated and molded to make products we recognize, such as running shoes, eyeglasses, and bottles. Plastic action. Pedro finds the idea of so much plastic pollution upsetting, but Nick reassures him that it's not all doom and gloom. There are lots of creative ways to avoid using plastic. Around the world, people are taking action. There is still a long way to go, but change is happening. What action is being taken where you live? Shop at places that use less plastic packaging. Grow your own food. Buy natural fabrics such as wool and cotton. Choose wooden or cloth toys. Cover leftovers with a plate instead of plastic wrap. Shop at bulk stores and bring your own containers. Line your garbage bin with paper bags instead of plastic, or use nothing at all. Go away, plastic. When they get to the beach, the friends find plastic garbage washed up on shore. Scientists believe some plastics will take over 500 years to decompose. Plastic breaks apart and tiny pieces called microplastics remain to pollute our planet and our food. Every piece of plastic ever made is still around today. The good news? Manufacturers are coming up with new and better ways of making products that don't rely on harmful plastics. Plastic and chips? Because of plastic pollution, the fish we eat might have plastic in them. When plastic breaks down into microplastics, the tiny pieces are so small they are hard to see. Then, gulp. The fish eat them and we eat the fish. When birds eat their young, the chicks eat microplastics the mothers may have eaten. The chick's stomach fill up with plastic instead of food. 6 orders of fish and chips, please. You can see this cycle right here. The little tiny plastics, the fish eating, and then the big fish, and then we eat the fish. Yikes. Nick's no plastic birthday party. As the 5 friends pack up their lunch dishes, they know they've learned a lot. They've gone all day without using any single-use plastics. Now it's time for cake and fun. Instead of balloons, Nick and his friends have decorated with kites and streamers made of natural materials. Leaving things better. It's been a long day and it's time to go home. Then Martin notices a group of people cleaning up the beach. Let's help out, he says. By picking up litter, the kids are leaving the beach better and cleaner than when they arrived. Good thing we brought these. You should always wear gloves when picking up garbage. The No Plastic Challenge. Challenge your friends to go one whole day without using single-use plastics. Here are some ideas to get you started. Don't buy bottled water. Encourage your school, favorite restaurant, or store to ban single-use plastics. Say no thanks to single-use plastics such as straws, cups, containers, cutlery, and bags. No thanks. Don't buy products with plastic packaging. Bring your own bags, cutlery, and containers to the grocery store and takeout restaurants. What other ways can you stop or reduce plastic use? There's a glossary of terms at the end, words to know. So if you forget any of the words that we learned today, you could use that with definitions. This book gave so many great ideas. I hope that you take the challenge and try a day without using plastic. It can really open up your eyes. Maybe if you get the hang of one day, you could try 2 days. Bring your whole family, get everybody involved, and see what you can do to help reduce plastic use in your home. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you can join me next week because we get to go see an amazing horse rescue ranch. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week.